topic for today's video is looking at parallel and perpendicular lines. So a couple definitions to go over. Lines in the same plane that do not intersect are called parallel lines. And we can see down below an illustration of two lines that are parallel to each other. And notice that the slope of one line is the same as the slope of the other. And then another point about parallel lines, while they have the same slope, they will have different y-intercepts. And then for lines that are perpendicular, perpendicular lines intersect at a right angle or a 90-degree angle. And then the two non-vertical lines are going to be perpendicular if the slope of one line is the negative reciprocal or opposite of the reciprocal slope of the other. So for example, we have a slope of -5/3 and then a slope of +3/5. And the negative of a negative is a positive, and the reciprocal of 5/3 is 3/5. So below we have slopes of parallel lines. If M1 and M2 represent the slopes of two non-vertical parallel lines, then N1 equals M2. Slopes of perpendicular lines, M1 equals M2, or M1 and M2 represent the slopes of two non-vertical perpendicular lines if the slope of one line is the negative reciprocal of the other. And then this point, we can see here, if we take the 3/5 and we multiply it by the -5/3, the 5s and the 3s cancel out to be 1, and 1 times -1 is -1. So we can verify that. We can determine if the lines given by equations are parallel, perpendicular, or neither by finding their respective slopes. For our first example, we have 2x plus 3y equals 7. And in order to find the slope, we need to get this equation in y equals mx plus b form so that we can identify the coefficient of our x term, which is then the slope. So for 2x plus 3y equals 7, we're going to first subtract 2x. We have not touched the 7. And then we're going to divide everything by 3. And the result is y equals -2/3 times x plus 7 divided by 3, which then gives us our slope for our first equation is -2/3. For the second equation, we see that 4x is on the left side, and then we have the term with y on the right side. So we need to add 6y, so it's on the left, subtract 4x so that it is on the right, and then divide through by 6. So y is equal to -4/6 times x plus 2/6. And notice everything here can actually simplify because both -4, 6, and 2 are all even numbers. So -4 divided by 6 simplifies to be -2/3 times x, plus 2/6 simplifies to be 1/3. And notice once we simplified the coefficient of our x term for our second equation, we also get a slope of -2/3. Therefore, these lines are parallel. And that is because M1 is equal to M2. Now let's take a look at the relation between the two equations 2x equals 6 and y equals 5. So for 2x equals 6, we want to divide by 2, and that results in x equals 3, and recall that this is a vertical line, whereas y equals 5 is a horizontal line. So when we graph these, the vertical line, remember, no matter what y is, x is going to be 3. So we're going to always label x, label y, and scale in all 4 directions. And when x is 3, I can let y be anything. So 1, 2, 3 to the right. And I'm going to go 3 to the right, and then I'm also going to plot points going up and down. And so that's our vertical line. And I'm going to try to carefully connect those points. Make sure that you're doing so as well. Okay, so when I connect those points with a nice straight edge, it's not working. We want to take our time with this. It's okay to make mistakes. There, that's much better. Okay, arrows on both sides. And then our horizontal line, remember, is y equals 5. And so no matter what x is, y will always be 5, such as 0, 5, and 3, 5, and 5, 5, and negative 5, 5, etc. And I'm actually going to change my pen color. Okay, so we have a vertical line in purple. And then our horizontal line is in red. So that is x equals 3, and then y equals 5. So if you recall, the slope of a horizontal line is 0, but the slope of a vertical line is undefined. And remember, for m1 equals 0, these lines we need to see and recognize are perpendicular. They intersect at 90-degree angles or right angles. And we can also verify that by seeing that if we negate 0, which there's no such thing as, but then reciprocate it, so I'm going to say m2 equals 1 over negative 0. Where is that 1 coming from? Well, remember, we can take any integer and make it into a fraction. Isn't 0 over 1 the same as 0? So if I reciprocate that, 1 over negative 0 is indeed undefined. Your 2 questions. Given the slope of a line, m equals 2/3, you are asked to determine the slope of a line parallel to this line, and then the slope of a line that is perpendicular to this line.